The video game bloodbath is here. This is not the first we've seen in a huge 70% decline in profits. We've got Sony's decline in profits happening across the board. We talked about that over the weekend with Suicide Squad, Kill the Justice League. We've got Microsoft was laying off a bunch of groups for their development teams because their sales just aren't there. They had a big MMO that failed last year. Similarly, and they're just not listening to the customers. It's obvious what's going on, and I don't know what it's going to take for any of these corporations to like actually change their ways. Like Sony got the Helldivers 2 controversy, everybody flipped out. Sony said they were going to do something about it. It's still not available in a bunch of countries. They still did the same PSN requirement for a new game. So it's like, okay, they made their statement to placate fans, but their actions are not aligning with their words. And until their actions align with their words, we need to push back and keep these companies on their toes and on their heels and panicked because, this is not changing. And yesterday we talked about on the channel how Square Enix is removing their Sony exclusive contract going forward. Square Enix really has held itself back terribly by just having that exclusive deal with PlayStation. It used to be an okay thing. PlayStation used to be such a dominant force in the market that when they did this originally back in the day with Final Fantasy VII, I mean, I was really upset as a Final Fantasy fan. It was like a crushing moment for me because I was pretty much Nintendo only, and it's like, oh gosh, they're not on Nintendo now. This sucks. And I actually went and I bought a PlayStation 3 just to play Final Fantasy VII. I really did. And I bought a PlayStation 4 just to play Final Fantasy 13. The one thing I didn't do is buy a PlayStation 5 because like I looked at Final Fantasy 16, saw that they're going the wrong direction with it, and I was like, I don't need it. And I don't need to spend the time doing that these days anymore. So this is it. They've got a 70% decline in profit at Square Enix. They've removed their deal with PlayStation, and layoffs are coming. And this is what's happening. This is such a big story in the video game industry. I'm surprised there's not more people talking about it. This is so huge, and huge layoffs coming at Square Enix. So Mark Kern's saying this is a video game bloodbath. We're just at the tip of the iceberg. And I do believe this. I believe we're really just scratching the surface here because these announcements of their profits dropping are just happening. So Square Enix's fiscal year, the company reported its net sales increased from 343 billion yen, or $2 billion, to $2.3 billion. That profit was just a small increase. I don't think that even covers inflation. So the net sales and the profitability shrunk by a decline of, 315 million last year to 90 million this year. So that's pretty razor-thin margins for a company of that size. Not a good thing. And so they announced their shift, as we mentioned. And there's other things that are going on. So Mark Kern talked about this, Grumps. He said, more bloodbath at Microsoft as they face the music, $80 billion in acquisitions, 40 studios. They failed to grow their Game Pass for Xbox. Expect Xbox execs to retire, get rotated out as this disaster snowballs. Heads are going to roll. And this is not the same as Square Enix, but this is happening across the industry. And it's really because of all the DEI, ESG stuff being inserted into these games. These bloated consultancy firms getting paid big bucks to throw woke content into the games that nobody wants, and then gamers are tuning out of the games. That's all that's happening. Everybody going multi-platform as sales continue to soften. Microsoft will put their games on every platform faster and in greater quantity. Nothing will be sacred to earn back those bucks. Well, they'll have increased microtransactions. That's been one of the worst things for games ever. Oh my God, I could rant about that for hours. The downloadable content. What a scam. What a scam. You can't buy a complete game anymore. Especially for Game Pass, Origin, and other subscription services. EA has already talked about ads in their games. They're going to throw ads into the games now. Just painful. Painful. And they'll be turning over every rock looking for dollars to squeeze. It will be hard. He said it's going to get a lot uglier. in the AAA and console games before it gets better. Remember, 2 years to stop the spread and get gamer voices heard. Play your Steam libraries and older games. And that's the thing. You got to remember, games take about 2 years to develop. So everything that's going to be coming out over this next year is going to have that Sweet Baby Inc. influence. It's going to have the Black Girl Gamers influence. Even next year, it's going to be the same thing because it takes that long to develop. New developments that start now, after they've seen the profit reductions, and not even now, like 3 or 4 months from now, that's really when it's going to start. To avoid this stuff aren't going to be in existence until like 2026 or beyond. So you really got to just ditch these platforms. Cancel your PSN Plus, fight Sony. They're vulnerable right now. And Square Enix, it was worse for them than just this. They confirmed huge layoffs in US and Europe as part of their restructuring. So here it is. They're set to make an unconfirmed number of layoffs as part of their ongoing restructuring, and it's going to be big. They say they're not talking about the scale of it, but it's not going to be a small thing, or they're not going to make a prep for an announcement like this. They want to rebuild their overseas business divisions from the ground up, begin optimizing costs as European and American offices via structural reforms. This is a huge deal. When you see Microsoft laying off full studios last week, Square Enix laying off full groups this week, like I said, we're just at the tip of the iceberg. And there's another article right on here. It's canceling games. Microsoft was canceling games last week too. They know. They know at this point that if they put out these ESG games that are trying to manipulate you with politics, that they're going to get such backlash, it's going to destroy their brands for the future. So they're canceling them in advance. That's what they're doing. This is a big watershed moment, and it's a win for gamers. It's a L for the industry. We see that Kotaku's like on its death spiral at this point. They've got weird OnlyFans girls going at YouTubers like Smash JT over his coverage of what's going on at Kotaku. All to simp for Alyssa Mercante. They know that they're on the run because this has been such an effective movement the last couple months, starting with Sweet Baby Inc. Detected, going into the Stellar Blade deal with the petition, and then Helldivers actually getting Sony to make a statement on things. This is wild. They know they're in huge, huge trouble, and that's what this is a sign of, and this is the biggest news of the day. All right. Leave a comment down below with what you think about this. Hit the like and subscribe button. Make sure to free Stellar Blade, my friends. 88,000 signatures. It's still getting about 500 signatures a day. I'll put that link in the description below for you because this needs to get to 100,000. It really does. Don't forget Stellar Blade. And we'll be back soon.